what really helped us to make that jump to the fulfillment side of things was being able to really get it down to the minute, like how many you're supposed to do in a minute, rewarding the people that do the job, and then really refining a process that would say, okay, hey, this was costing me 27 cents. I've got it down to 15 cents. So now I'm making money on it.
Welcome to the Know Your Ship podcast, presented by eHub. I'm your host, Frank Dolce. I probably ought to introduce you first.
Okay.
Jeramy King, FFE Solutions. You have a long and interesting work history. Well, I mean, it's interesting, but it's only with a couple different companies, as we were talking about leading into this. You kind of worked with a printing company for a long time, and then found an opportunity to transition into FFE, and had some similar experience that allowed you to jump into FFE with a little bit of background. I'm sure that was helpful.
Definitely, right? Because understanding manufacturing, the flow of print jobs, the flow and the management of flow and the management of cells gave me a great foundation of, okay, it's the same, right? In printing, you're moving thousands of pieces a day. Mm-hmm. Millions of feet of paper a day. And so it's the same thing. It's the same concept of how do I get it from raw material at the back of the facility to package out the front of this facility. So a lot of expertise in that helped, set the standard for what we do at FFE.
I've been in printing shops before, and the amount of paper that is stacked around and going through machines and everything, it's a unique aroma in a print shop.
Yeah, when I started in printing, the person that hired me says, hey, ink's going to get in your blood. And I'm like, dude, I just need a job, right? That was it. I just wanted a job. I was going to school. I just recently returned from an LDS mission. And so I just needed a job. Yeah. And so I'm just like, I took it. But it did. It was amazing. I enjoyed the experience. It's very robust. I worked for the largest commercial printer in Utah. And we were a regional printer, and it was a $40 million company, and got to manage that. But it was definitely rewarding.
Yes, I'm sure a lot of your customers and even you are interested in like carrier cost, shipping cost, actual shipping costs, and margins associated with that, and whether or not you're going to make money on those things. That's an important piece of it. But in the whole scheme of things, there's a lot of opportunity to lose money in the fulfillment process.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. There's so many of the additional services.
Mm-hmm.
You call it a value-added service, but it's like, it's only a value if you collect money on it, right? And so like for us, when we were doing a lot of the hand assembly, it's you quote a project that each unit's going to cost, you're going to charge them 25 cents a unit. Mm-hmm. Well, if all of a sudden you've got 70 people and it's costing you 29, 30 cents a unit and you've did 10,000 of them, you're upside down really quick and you're stuck. So what really helped us to make that jump to the fulfillment side of things was being able to really get it down to the minute, like how many you're supposed to do in a minute, rewarding the people that do the job, and then really refining a process that would say, okay, hey, this was costing me 27 cents. I've got it down to 15 cents. So now I'm making money on it. Mm-hmm. And kitting is one of those things, if not managed really well. So those value-added services, I think a lot of in the logistics space, if they're not managed well, they just become money pits and money drains. And without a good way to measure and do matrix on those, you can go upside down on that and wondering, hey, why is this looking so bad? Because for us, at the end of every month, when you're looking at a P&L, the difference when we have a big month where we do a lot of kitting is definitely adds a lot to the bottom line because we also utilize our people, right? So if it's a light day, we can transfer people over to the kitting. We can bring in early so we can start an hour or two late. So we're always maximizing our employees in there. And I think that's one of the things where I think for us has been an advantage is we maximize our employees with some of those kitting projects and those hand assembly projects. It's because you don't have downtime with your employees. You have them beginning of the day if it's a slow start, or if it's a light day at the end of the day, so they know they can go over there. So from a labor standpoint, kitting helps for us. The value-added services help offset some of that labor for as you're adding clients, growing,
Yeah. On the kitting side, how easily can it go sideways in terms of, are you so specific in the kitting that you say, we have to produce one package every 37 seconds. And if we don't do that, then our costs are just going out of control.
Very much so. I mean, when we take on a kitting project, we'll time trial it. So I've got my supervisor, he'll time trial it. He'll do it 4 or 5 times, how much it does, how many touches. And so for us, it comes down to how many times do I have to touch it. So the more I touch it, obviously, the higher the cost. But then it does come down to like, okay, I want to make X number of dollars an hour. So how many units at that rate do I have to get done in that time frame? So each person is expected to do so much per hour. And then there are gamifications there. We've added automation around that. Can you break it up so one person does a complete project, or is it faster to say, okay, you just do this, you do this, and then the next person finishes it out? So there was a lot of refining in that process to be able to do that. But where in the beginning we started just doing kitting, we were so hyper focused on that because as we were growing and bootstrapping, it's like we couldn't afford to have one go sideways.
Yeah. Or then, I mean, you just, like you said, you just start bleeding money.
Yeah.
And it's hard to recover from that. Okay. Let's jump into, I want you to give, we talked about this leading in a little bit, but give us a 30,000 foot view of FFE today.
So FFE for us, I mean, we're growing. We're really invested a lot into automation. We've always had a lot of technology, a lot of automation from the beginning. We've always been focused on technology because technology is going to drive it. The faster, the less people I have to touch it, the less people have to think. Our philosophy is we want you to think but not have to think. And so from 30,000 feet, it is about, expanding into automation. We know automation is there. It's being able to, expand on the carrier pool, being able to get to the right carrier, to the right location at the right time, zoned out correctly. And so for us, we feel like that's the next big thing for us is being able to really centralize our carriers and make sure that we're able to hit everybody in a time frame at a good rate, and then with reliability.
And are all of your customers, clients, e-commerce customers, or is there kind of a mix of customers in your warehouse?
We have a mix of customers. We do have some that is just storage, short-term storage, long-term storage. As we're filling out our new space, we have some stuff, a lot of customers that are short-term that'll continue to move out. I'm paying rent, so I might as well get somebody to pay for it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a mix of customers, and you kind of have to have that. And we do a lot of B2B type shipping too. So there's a lot of LTL carriers and stuff like that involved. We have a great network there. It's not a lot of the B2B side is not something that a lot of 3PLs like to live or fulfillment centers like to do because it is very back to the same thing. It's very labor intensive. You make a mistake, you put a label on upside down, the wrong label, it's $250. And you do 10, 30 boxes that way, all of a sudden those dollars add up. And so we've kind of taken the same process we did to kitting into the business, the B2B side of shipping. And so I feel like for us, that's been another anchor for us that's really helped us solidify a lot of accounts because we have a great expertise in that. And we really are always refining our process around that B2B shipping.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good background on FFE. We're going to leave that there for a second.
Okay.
And we'll come back and hit that.
I don't think I hit your question very well
later on. No. That's great. I think, we just want to give our listeners a sense of what FFE does and what the customer mix looks like. And then we're going to dig into that a little bit.
Okay.
We'll dig into that a little bit more. So, but I do want to get an idea of how you got here and where you started. So are you a Utah native, or did you grow up somewhere else?
No, I actually grew up in Colorado, and I went to Adams State College there, and I'm playing basketball, loving life, and woke up one morning going, hey, you're not going to get what you want out of life doing this. And so I took a 180 and decided to go on an LDS church mission, started in Honduras, then got moved to California, and my mission president was actually the owner of the printing company. And he said, hey, when you're done, you want to come back? And I couldn't go back to my old friends because that environment wasn't conducive for growth and prosperity. And so came out here and just love Utah. And so I've been here 30 years.
Okay. So your mission president
was Blaine Hudson.
Hudson Printing here in Salt Lake City.
Yep.
Okay. And at that point, Well, what was it? Were you such a good missionary? Were you such a good guy? Or did he just feel terrible for you?
I don't know if he felt sorry for me.
He just thought you didn't have any prospects.
Yeah, he's like, this guy needs all the help he can get, so let's give him a job.
We could throw him on the floor at the printing company.
No, I actually worked with him. I was his assistant. So I was his assistant. So I spent, and I was put in as assistant a month before he got there. So I was there the first 7 months. He kept me an extra month, and I stayed in the office with him the whole time. So that was kind of that transition. And so literally I'm sitting in his office, the mission president's office, doing an interview for a job back at the company at Hudson Printing, who his sons were running. He's just like, hey, if you don't know what you're going to do here, let me get you on the phone. So he snagged me up, and that's how I got into printing. Came out here. I was going to the U to get a marketing degree. And then got into the printing side of things, and I actually loved it. I enjoyed printing. If there wouldn't have been a leadership change, I probably wouldn't have ever got into this field, to be honest with you, because I enjoyed it. I loved it. I love the people I worked with. But then, went from customer service, shipping and receiving, and then as soon as I jumped, then I had an opportunity to jump into sales. One day I went to the sales manager and said, hey, what's it take to get into sales? What do I got to do? I want to get there. And he's like, well, tell me when you're ready, which I was
yeah, I'm ready.
I was expecting something else. I said, okay, so I'll let you know. So I went back the next day. And so I wasn't expecting that answer. And so I jumped in, and then, yeah. So that's kind of how I
let me weigh my options. And then the next day you came back. And
I can keep pushing pallets back here, or I can go do sales. And so now I'm doing sales and pushing pallets. So it's all good.
Tell me about how valuable that was for you to start in, kind of a beginning area in the business and work your way through.
I think it's absolutely very valuable for me because I learned different skills along the way. Mainly a lot of customer interaction, how to deal with clients, how to satisfy clients, how to make sure they're taken care of, and then work with a very diverse group of people. So as I continue to move up through the different things, the different positions, it just gave me the opportunity to really know from the ground up a business. And that's when we started FFE. It's like, we've had lots of weekends where my family's hand assembly, shrink wrapping, doing that. But it's really, we've built it from the ground up. And so it's been very valuable for me because it's really being able to create the fabric of the business, the culture of the business, and then grow up from there.
There's a lot of good things in there. One is the value of learning all of the positions, moving up through the organization. And then when you find yourself in a leadership role, you have a deeper understanding of what everybody is going through in each of their individual positions. Do you think a leader can gain that kind of knowledge without going through the same kind of path you did, where you actually experienced all of the different levels rising through the organization?
I definitely think a leader can, but it's definitely a leader that has to be patient and understanding and willing to get out on the floor, willing to understand it, not dictating from above, but really getting it. And I think really what a leader can get it is if he understands the culture. For me, moving up through each of the positions really gave me an idea of the culture of how the business, of what works, what people like, what people don't like, what works, what doesn't work. And so really, I think it's more based on the culture of it. Like we talked a little earlier, it's like leaders come in and think they want to just change everything. And sometimes I think that's where things will go sideways. But definitely a leader can come in without having those things, but I do think it's a value if the leader does. It has to go back to the culture. What's the culture of the company? Yeah. What really works really well? Why do people work there? Why do people like to work there? Why do the customers do? Then improve upon that versus just come in and like, oh, you guys are dumb. I'm going to put a new stamp on this thing so I can put something in my portfolio till I move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's maddening when there is leadership change.
Yeah.
And I understand that people want to put their stamp on something, but it doesn't always feel thoughtful.
Yeah.
And I think culture is one of those things that can really be damaged. I mean, maybe that's something that you've experienced as well. You've mentioned culture a few times here. Is this something that you developed during your work career? Is this something that maybe you recognized growing up and that was part of your family life regarding culture and how people work well together?
I think it's how I grew up. I played sports a lot. I was loved basketball, played a little college basketball. And I really just that culture of team, like everybody working together and the fun around that, right? To celebrate the wins, learn from the losses. And I think I take that into business in a lot. It's like really with the team, it's like, okay, celebrate your wins. You know, when people are winning, let's celebrate those wins. And when we're losing, let's make corrections. It's just like a basketball team or a football team or any other team. And I think that's where a lot of that came from culture is what's the culture of the teams that you're putting together. You know, and we have different teams within the warehouse. Obviously, you have a shipping team, a fulfillment team, a picking team, and, you know, working to foster a culture for each of those as well. So there's a good working nucleus within that culture, that group.
Yeah. Have you had experiences where you struggled with culture within an organization?
Yeah. At the printing company I was at, there was a change of ownership. And when that change of ownership, it really disrupted the culture. And I learned for myself, right? Because I fought really hard to keep the old culture. And so I really learned at that point in time as a leader, it's like, okay, there is an embrace. There's sometimes this is a way we've always done it, that tribal knowledge, there's good in there, but there's also some history there that may not be as profitable. There's some other ways, some tired thinking, I guess is the best way to put it. And so being able to infuse additional insights and stuff adds to that.
Yeah. You'd been at Hudson for how long when that ownership change occurred? I mean, you were deeply ingrained in the culture.
I had been there about 17, 18 years, right in that time frame. So definitely ingrained in the culture from day one.
Okay. And I don't mean to diminish Hudson at all. That's not, I'm just asking questions out of curiosity. So I hope it doesn't come across that way. But when that change of ownership occurred, did the new individual who was in charge, had that person been a part of the culture at all previously?
Yeah, he'd been in the business 30 years, but he had his vision of where he wanted to take the company. And it was a little too far to the right, I guess. He tried to move the culture and this a little too far, I think. So I kind of lost my thought on that one.
Do you think at that point in your career, 17-ish years in the business, as you look back, do you think a culture tweak would have been meaningful in the business?
Definitely. A tweak to the culture would be very meaningful because I think with any culture, longstanding business has been around many years. There's really good things and there's a lot of very valuable assets in there, but also it becomes very stagnant at some point in time. So there has to be a transition point where you have to start edging in new culture to continue to grow and keep a vision moving forward.
Sure. And things change. I mean, technologies change and you have to evolve with that. I think it's really interesting because we've experienced that, and big culture shifts are, well, you've seen it. They can be devastating.
Yes.
And if they're not devastating, then it takes a long time to recover from that. So you're super thoughtful about that when you're running your current organization and as you were starting the organization. Yeah,
like literally from like the first business meeting that I had with my partner when we said, okay, we're going into business together, let's strategize this. That's where FFE came from. It was just like, it's got to be fun, fast, and easy. Because I just came from a huge culture shift, and it used to be fun, but then it changed, and it's like, so that was always kind of been our driving principle. And it's got to be fun, but you got to be fast, but then you got to make it easy. Because I've also been in a culture shift where it was hard, like you're just trying to do hard things, and it was a huge shift, and so. That's always been for me. It's like you got to keep that balance of fun for the employees, but productive. It's got to be fun for your customers, but you also got to deliver. So, and then it's got to be, the fast has always been around, okay, you've got to be nimble. This industry is ever evolving, ever changing with new automation, new software, new carriers, all of these different things that are coming, that's where the fast to adjust, fast to correct mistakes, fast to move forward.
And fast to respond to your customer.
Right. Yeah.
Because customers don't like to wait.
No, exactly. You definitely have to be able to respond very fast to customers. And, that's why for us, back to the kidding piece, we have a lot of it because we act really fast. Someone's all of a sudden has the ability to get into a new retailer, but they have to have this kitted this way and it's got to be this. And you got 5 days. Can you pull it off? That's always a challenge. And that's one thing we've built within the company. It's like, we like taking on those type of challenges just because it makes us better as a company. It exposes weaknesses and it shows us, that willingness to try new things. And usually we've done a few things for clients that now benefit our other clients in the way we pick things, the way the processes work. So,
yeah. Tell me about working with customers and any challenges associated with that.
For me, I'm the sales side of the organization. And so I enjoy working with customers. I love being able to solve the problems, the challenges, those things. Those are always fun and engaging. And in the logistics space, it's really not a customer. It has to be a partnership, right? I take a lot of pride when I see emails coming from my customers that says, "Hey team," right? So we definitely work with customers to try to develop that we're your team. We are your fulfillment center. We are you. And we try to impress that upon our employees that this is a reflection. How you pack that box is a reflection of that brand. And that's important to that brand. And so working with customers, there is a delicate balance because in the logistics space, there's errors, there's delays, there's tariffs, there's a million things.
There's a lot of variables that you don't even control.
Right.
But your customer wants you to be in control.
Yeah, exactly. Their delays turn into my emergencies, right? And so that's the thing. It's like working with customers and having that open communication. It does have to be the analogy that we've always used, because my business partner, he's a huge cowboy. We've always taken an open approach, like, okay, yes, it's our farm. We have the farm, but they're your animals on our farm. Come see your animals anywhere you want. We're taking care of them. But if you ever want to come in and visit, please come in. And so that's one of the things we've always had is a very open door policy with all of our clients. If they want to come in, we allow them to do some projects internally because they have some employees they want to do. We let them take tours. We let them shoot video. We're very accommodating in that aspect because I want them to think, if I had a warehouse, I could go down there and do that. Now, obviously, there's parameters, and you just can't let them overrun you. But at the same time, that's part of how the philosophy has always been. It's like it is a true partnership, and we have to see it as a partnership. I can't see you as the customer and me as the 3PL. We really have to work really tight together for it to work for all of us.
I really like that philosophy. The thought of customer as a partner. It's not like it's an aligned relationship. It's not two separate individuals.
It's not just a transaction, right?
Yeah,
it's not a transactional relationship.
It's an aligned, absolutely. And so how do you think that has affected the company in terms of growth, retention, referrals, whatever? What are the positive aspects of building relationships with your customers that way?
It's invaluable, right? Because we have a lot of customers that have stayed with us a long time. Some of them we've outgrown. Some of them have, a few of them have left, right? As attrition happens, new people come on and they want to put their stamp on it and move somewhere else. But that's been valuable for us to keep customers, retain customers. We're 5 years into doing the e-commerce fulfillment, and our original customer is still with us, very happy, very satisfied. And continuing to work with us. And so that's, a couple of our customers are referral based. Yeah. And I do a lot on referral base. We don't put a lot into marketing, partly because we've been growing it and we're trying to we're managing growth because I think a lot of people can get in trouble trying to grow too fast and then they get overextended or they just get in, they can't handle the volume. So we've paced our growth to make sure that as we're growing, we don't jeopardize our partners that we have already.
Yeah. The other thing you mentioned about working with your customers is an open communication, which is critical. And have you had any experiences where you had to communicate something to your customer, but it wasn't very comfortable or it wasn't good news, and rather than hiding under the sheets, you just went down and faced it?
Yeah, that's one of the things, back to a partnership and a team, it is about transparency. Because you're going to miss a shipment. You're going to pack something wrong. You're going to forget to send something out, and you're going to miss a show. You have those things. And so I've always trained my sales guys and my customer service, just pick up the phone. Like, just be honest. It's a mess. So let's not try to hide it. We messed up. So, I've always trained. And I think with the customer, going to them, it's like, okay, here's what happened. Here's what we can do to solve it. And I think if you go to a client with solutions that you can do, then they at least understand that, hey, you guys messed up. And sometimes we have to pay for those mistakes, right? We have to ship stuff out next day air. We got to fly stuff out. We got to do stuff. And that, I think, is also part of the valuable partnership is, if we make a mistake, we have to step up. Like, that was our fault. You shouldn't take that dime. And so that is just a huge key to it, is that open communication. And it's just news. It's not good news, bad news. It's just news. So let's just deliver the news. And then what's the solution moving out of this?
That's like a very stoic way to think about delivering news, because a stoic would say exactly what you said. There's not good news. There's not bad news. There's just news and your perception of it.
Right.
Like, so that's what makes it good or bad. I think that's really interesting. Okay. So did you start FFE with a couple partners?
Yeah, we started with two partners. So I have two partners. We have one is in charge of IT, one is operations, and then I oversee sales, customer service side of things. And the three of us work very well together.
Okay, this is my question, because somebody has a great idea, they get aligned with a couple people, and then whatever happens, it doesn't work out. The idea was fantastic. People couldn't get to whatever the thing is. People couldn't get together. How did you determine who would be a good partner, and how do you make that work to this day? So
my original partner, when we started FFE, he was operations, I was a sales side, and he was like, "Okay, we have to in the e-commerce and fulfillment and logistics world, you have to have a strong IT." And he said, okay, I know a really good IT guy. So we split up equity and brought him in. But part of our thought process at the beginning too is two of us can get out of alignment. We can get sideways with each other. We can get off track.
Yeah.
And so that was the other reason of having a third partner. Number one, we needed the technology side and understand the importance of that. And our partner on the technology side is absolutely amazing. The guy is a whiz. I love him to death. But it gives us that, keeps us in alignment, because very rarely do all three of us get sideways with each other. But if two people get sideways, there's always a third person to kind of mediate, moderate, kind of keep the vision of everything going. And so it is, you have to spend a lot of time together. You have to have some meetings. You have to be on the same page. There's a lot of planning and structure that goes into it. But I'm grateful that there are three of us, because it does help us keep that business going and keeps the flow.
Did you have any trepidation in the early days about going into business with those guys?
I did not, because I'd worked with one of the partners when I was working at the printing company. We did a lot of business with them,
so you
assembly and stuff. So I had some knowledge, worked with him. And then I had actually transitioned all of our freight over to his brokerage. And so I was working with him on the freight basis. So we had probably 6 or 7 months of really good communication as a working relationship, as me as the customer. And then literally we decided to, he and I decided to go into business together. And the funny thing is you asked that question, is his dad set him down. He's like, do you even know this guy? Has your wife met him? He's like, oh, I guess we should go introduce our wives and go have dinner together, because him and I don't know, it's just kind of one of those things, like we clicked from the beginning. We just kind of
was meaningful.
We were two competitive guys. We're both competitive in a good way. And it was like, we just clicked from the beginning. And so we're just like, I don't know if we were just dumb in the moment and just said, what the heck, let's do this. But we just kind of had a vision and felt, it was just one of those things that just worked really well.
I know it's worked out and it's working out, which is amazing. But as you look back on that, would you do anything differently? Would you say, yeah, maybe I should dig into this guy a little bit more? Maybe we should, or did you just, was it a gut, here we go?
It was more of a gut feel, right? Because I think both he and I are pretty open books with each other. We're pretty transparent, and I think that reflects in the company and with how we interact with our clients. So we pretty knew each other. There wasn't really much going on there. So I think I wouldn't do anything different, because if I tried to overthink it, it was just one of those things. It was just like, okay, jump and hope the parachute opens kind of philosophy in the beginning.
Yeah. So a lot of people say work partnerships are a lot like a marriage. And so what are the things that you do as partners to maintain really productive, high-level relationships as you continue to build the business?
That's a dynamic that's ever evolving and working, because it is. You have a lot of people. As we started the business, I was still a full-time print salesman and doing the business, so I was working 2 jobs. Our operations guy, we were making enough money to have him be 100% on, and our IT guy, same thing. Our IT partner, he was working 2 jobs, and we were all just kind of filling in around there. And so that would be the one thing I think from a learning perspective, as I would have done more stuff together, like done more dinners, more family interactions, some of those things where I think could have outside of the business, right? Because we worked Saturdays and Sundays in the beginning, and our whole families were there, my family and kids and his family and kids and parents and cousins. And so we really developed a family, like a really working relationship together, because you're spending 10 hours on a shrink wrapper together. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about a person. So
sounds like a book. I mean, maybe that should be
10 hours on a shrink wrapper.
10 hours on a shrink
wrapper. I'm gonna take that.
That's interesting feedback. Being more thoughtful about spending time outside of the office together, and because the culture inside the office you can control a little bit, but it sure makes it better if everybody is engaged in what's happening. Correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like not only are you business partners, but you have a nice friendship as well.
Definitely. We've developed a friendship over this time. Like, we have a great time together. We do stuff together. And I think that's a key dynamic a lot for us, is there's that friendship, because we're both pulling. It's like, he's not above going on a sales call. I'm not above going and wrapping pallets. It's that shared caring for each other. It's probably not the best way to say that, but
I like
the mutual respect for each other, not just as a business partner and business owner, but as a person.
Do you feel like it's more difficult, or does it make your work relationship easier to have a friendship?
I think it makes it easier in the fact because you can be really straight with someone. You're not so worried about it. It's just kind of like if you're talking to your brother, you can tell him, hey, you're an idiot, right?
I mean,
sorry, you got to cut that part. But
unfortunately, those come back to me more often than
exactly. But I do think that friendship does help, because there's that shared vision, and you both know you're working. You have your own roles and responsibilities, but you're working for the same thing. And he's invested in my family being financially successful and taken care of. I'm invested in his family being financially successful and taken care of. And so it makes a lot of those, the growth and the learning of the business, it definitely makes it more rewarding having someone that's not only a business partner, but also as a friend and someone outside of there.
It feels like you've made an almost seamless transition from someone who had a leadership role in another company into like a true ownership leadership role in your own company, which can be a difficult transition to make. So what are some of the things that you think you did well in thinking about taking on or starting this new business?
The things that I think we did really well is we started with a mindset of back to the fun, fast, and easy. Like, that was our grounding principle. And I think what we did really well that made it successful, it is that culture. Like, do I enjoy going to work? I love doing what I do? I love putting boxes in boxes. Watching boxes go down the conveyor, it just makes me happy. Okay.
Ink's in your blood.
Ink's in the blood. Now boxes are in my blood, right? So it changes. So, yeah. I kind of forgot the question.
No,
Sorry.
Just stuff that maybe lessons learned along the way that you were able to transfer into your new role with FFE.
So some of the things I think the lessons learned was prior leadership responsibilities, I was never 100% responsible for the P&L, the bottom lines, the growth of the business, some of those major decisions. Like I was involved in them, but I never had to sign on the bottom line. I never had to do the discovery, the implementation. I always had pieces of that. And I think that's been the greatest challenge as a leader, is taking on those things, new roles, new responsibility, new challenges, new insights, the actual feeling of like, listen, I got 30 people out here that are, counting on me to pay them so they can do Christmas kind of thing. So taking on those responsibilities, for myself, spending a lot of time in mentor groups, personal development, just immersing myself in that world, because knowing that I've got to be better, I can be better, where can we improve? That constant state of improvement has definitely been something that's caused me to grow.
Yeah, let's not forget about that. I want to talk about that as we wrap up the podcast, because I think this idea of continuous improvement is important.
Yeah.
So I'd like to dig into that with you a little bit. Did you have a full head of hair before you started the business?
I had a full head of hair before I got into printing, but I rubbed it all out. I rubbed out the middle. The stress of life has rubbed it out the middle.
Yeah, well, as a fellow, I mean, we know.
Yeah.
We know how that goes.
Thank goodness though we look good though without hair, right?
Yes. Okay, if you were to describe your leadership style, would you say you're more Napoleon or George Washington?
I would say George Washington, just from the fact of, I think one of my gifts and talents is I'm really good at motivating people, getting people to laugh, getting people engaged. I've learned to control my emotions over the years, like as a business owner. That's one of the things. Before, when I was just an employee or had leadership roles, I used to be very mad, upset, frustrated, like problems happen. It was like very ignite. And then now as a business owner, I've really learned to take a step back and then teach and basically teach and instruct an employee versus being upset about it, because now it's my employee. Like I'm not just responsible for it, but it's like really my employee, that ownership thing. And so that's been one of the things so I think like, that's why I say George Washington, it is more about that leadership, inspire, make it fun, make it enjoyable. But then they also know that when I'm upset, like we got to get to work here. Like it's no more messing around time.
So you have these leadership qualities of, like, you want to motivate, you want to inspire, you want to engage with your people and with the people who look up to you. And when something needs to be done, something needs to get done, or an issue needs to be corrected, you don't have a problem stepping into that role as well.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and I think people need to see that. I don't like to wrap pallets, but I will wrap a pallet. And I think it's good for employees to see that, hey, when we're in the soup, I'm in the soup with them. If we're behind on orders or we've had a mechanical function, that they're willing to see the leader willing to roll up his sleeves. Now, I don't want to do it every day. And if I'm doing it every day, I've done something wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think from that motivation is, they know you're willing to do it. So when you ask them to do something, they know that you're not asking them to do something that you're not willing to do personally.
Right. So you're invested. When people see you're invested, they're invested.
Yeah.
Or it's easier to be invested.
And I've learned over the years, and as maturity-wise goes, less emotional about that. Being able to think clearly in those moments, be able to, if tensions are high around me, not escalate them more. And as I've grown in this role, and that's one thing I've really learned is not to escalate it, but to de-escalate in some cases. And most of the time, it's me that needs to de-escalate, not the employees. And so that's been a lot of learning and growth right there.
That self-awareness can be challenging.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like the anger thing, because I have a little bit of that too. And that can be really hard to overcome.
Yeah.
So good for you.
I'm good at saying I'm sorry because I've learned that losing my cool. I'm well practiced at saying I'm sorry. So I'm good at cleaning up messes in some of that cases. So now it's like, just don't create them now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. If I were to ask you, what is the best movie or best song or best band of all time, would you have a thought on any of those?
My favorite show of like all time is like Remember the Titans.
Oh,
Just because like
good one.
leadership reflects attitude, Captain. It's like that is like ingrained in my head.
yeah.
And just that show, obviously it's a great show, but it does show like how you have to come together as a team, and how when you come together as a team, that's how really the magic works. And I think that's back to your question you're asking for the leadership. There's a dynamic of who's in what role. I think that movie really showed, like, I think that's kind of some of the philosophy in that movie. It's like the head coach had to step down and go, hey, listen, I can't do this. I need some help. And the assistant coach had to do that. And so I think that's one of there's so many lessons that I enjoy out of that movie. So that's my favorite movie.
Well, what are the best things about the company? What do your customers love?
I think the one thing the main thing that customers love is the transparency, right? The transparency and flexibility. I always I don't want to get so rigid that I can't meet my customer needs. So between being transparent, flexible, being able to add the kitting, and creating that partnership and value. That's the main thing that I think sets us apart. And I think we do have a lot of secret sauce on our technology and how we think things, and the way we process orders, the way we rate shop orders, the way we move orders down through the system. There's a philosophy to that, because I think a lot of people think, oh, how hard is it to stick a label on a box? It's not. Like, anybody can stick a label on the box, but try to do it 15, 20,000 times in a day on the right box to the right product at the right time and at speed. That's really where the magic comes from. And I think we've got a lot of, like I said, my business partners got a lot of extensive experience in the industry. And so they've seen a lot of things done well and not done well. And so we've kind of picked best practices. And so we have a little bit of secret sauce. And as we moved into our new facility, we're trying a bunch of new different things. We had a fixed conveyor, a lot of automation, and it was starting to bottleneck the business. And so moving into our new facility, we've really changed our thought process, our philosophies, and we're already seeing dividends. We're already picking orders. We've been fully operational in our new facility for 2 weeks, and we're already at about 95% speed of where we were at in our previous thing, with a full automation conveyor system and everything. And so we're seeing a lot of that come together. And so I think one of our secret part of our growth and what makes us different is we're always innovative, looking to innovate, growing smart, how do we improve? My business partner that's in charge of operations, the guy's always looking, how can I take 3 steps out of this person's day? Like, how can we maximize this? And so being able to, I think that makes us different. Some people, I think, get stagnant, get stale, and hey, I have the best rates, I have the cheapest rates,
works.
I have the biggest facility, I some of those things. And so, and for me personally, I love being innovative and creative and growing. That's what keeps me alive and going and fueled and stressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And stressed, yeah. You were talking about your secret sauce, and I think the way that you've built your technology is absolutely meaningful. You have to have the right processes in place. But I would also say that your ability to connect with your customer is a differentiator in the market. Like, that means everything to people. People want to work with people they feel like they have a relationship with, and someone who's going to take care of them if the chips are down.
Yeah.
So you guys have done an amazing job with that. I think that's one of the things that we think is really valuable here as well at eHub is our customer support team is top notch, and we feel very proud about that. Okay, as we talk about, we mentioned this earlier, but you said that you spend time working on yourself and improving yourself as a leader, as an individual, so that you can show up every day. What are some of those things? What are some of the secrets in your arsenal to improve yourself?
I enjoy all kinds of personal development, from reading, the common books that everybody reads, to I even like the woohoo stuff, right? If you want to get into quantum physics and, neurolinguistics programming. And so I think as a leader, it's somewhat my responsibility to try to educate myself, not just in, okay, this is a business book and the business side of things, but all kinds of avenues of personal development to be able to, number one, to make myself, obviously improve myself, my knowledge, but then also being able to infuse that into the company. Mm-hmm. And that's where like the motivation and the growth goes. It's just an important key element for me personally, but I also think for the business, it's not just a business seminar. It's not just another rah-rah seminar. I mean, those are valuable and they're important and they do plays a place, but there's also some of that deeper work that you need to do for yourself personally that then moves the business forward.
Absolutely. Is there any one self-improvement, business foundations, or as you called it, woo-woo book that you would say, this is one you should put on your list?
Right now I'm reading a book by Dr. Morehouse, which talks about, he was in the CIA program back in the day where they were doing remote viewing. So they were using their mind to remote view, to go look, and they used to use them he has stories that he was telling us as I was in a seminar for 5 days with him, and it was talking about how they would remote view into drug boats to be able to say where it's at. And so that's the kind of woohoo stuff, but it's like, okay, that also pushes me to think a little harder, think a little different. I mean, I think sometimes personal development can get so pinched into one point that doesn't open up those other options. And so that's the book I'm reading right now. So it's definitely on the woohoo out there side, but it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. I happen to be reading one right now on Shackleton and the Endurance, the story about trying to find the Northwest Passage and crossing Antarctica. And if you want a lesson in overcoming obstacles and leadership, like that's a good one. You might, if you haven't read that one, you can put that one on your list.
Definitely, I'll add that one to my list.
Man, I really enjoyed this conversation. I can't believe it's been an hour. It just flew by like that. So come back and see us.
Yeah.
We want to know what's happening and how the business is going and what you guys are up to. And it's a great company. Congratulations on all you built. Jeramy King, the king of fulfillment.
That's right. Fast, and easy fulfillment, baby.
Where can we find you?
FFESG.com.
All right. Well, thank you. Come back and see us.
Okay, sounds good.
Take it easy. Thank you for listening to the Know Your Ship podcast presented by eHub. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.